Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. This is Optibotimus coming at you with another video review. And today we're going to be taking a look at the brand new Transformers Combiner Wars VICTORION. The first ever fan-built combiner, which is also the very first female combiner. If you remember what we did some time ago with Windblade, where we actually voted on creating that character, that's what we have right here with VICTORION and the Rust Renegades. Basically, we went on different websites, we voted on the color, the gender, the look, all that kind of stuff, and taking all that information, this is what Hasbro gave us. For the package, as you can see, this is a set, and it includes all 6 of the figures. You have a really cool image of VICTORION right there in the very front. One thing that I am noticing though is that on the art here, she actually has red hands, but the figure doesn't come with red hands, so that's a little unfortunate, because I really think that looks pretty cool. But you also see that it includes a collector card as well as a little bit of a poster, but we'll take a look at all that here in a bit. On the top section here, you have the various figures that make up VICTORION and the Rust Renegades. The leader of the group being Pyra Magna, followed by Dust Up, Jumpstream, Skyburst, Stormclash, and Rust Dust. Basically, you have repaints with new heads on all of them, except for Rust Dust. That's just a straight repaint. And then you come around to the back of the package, and here you have a really cool product shot, except that you can't see it, because it actually gets kind of big. You come around here, and that's what you have, and that does look really very cool. And at the top here, it says VICTORION, with a will to survive forged in the unstable environments of the Sea of Rust, the Rust Renegades combine to form VICTORION, a relentless, resourceful combiner who always finds a way to bring down her targets. And then you have all the figures here along the side and where they kind of fit on here. Now, they do have a specific order. As you can see, you know, Pyra Magna is obviously going to be the main body, but like Dust Up, they specifically show being a right arm, and Jumpstream being a left arm. Now, Skyburst and Stormclash are actually twins, so I don't really think it matters too much, but they specifically say that Skyburst is the right leg while Stormclash is the left leg. I don't think it matters because in terms of vehicle mode, they look exactly the same. It's only robot mode that they change. But I actually think that they look really very cool. Now, while I don't read the comics or anything, apparently these girls are making appearances in the comics, so it's kind of flushing out their origins a little bit and giving us a backstory on them. Kind of like what they did with Windblade. But for the packaging on them, that's about it. So without further ado, let's get her out here and see how cool she actually is. So here we have the Rust Renegades open up and out of their packaging. And like I showed on the actual package, it actually does come with some pretty cool stuff. You get a little collector card here, which basically just looks like a scaled down image of this picture up here. You got Transformers Generations on the back, so no bio or anything like that. I wish it would start doing that. But then you do get this, I don't know, little poster kind of thing. I mean, it's not little. I mean, you can see just how big this is, with some cool artwork on there, showing off the Rust Renegades down there, riding off into the sunset, and then you have VICTORION there, and what looks to be, you know, maybe a scene from the Sea of Rust where all these characters are from. So that's actually pretty cool that we're getting something like this. It comes in a, you know, nice little protective sleeve and everything, so it's actually pretty thoughtful. But for the figures, here they all are. And one thing that I really like is what they actually did with the green color. Now, when we first started seeing pictures from like San Diego Comic-Con and test things like that, the green was very bright and kind of ugly looking. This is a much more muted green, which I think looks very nice on these. That's definitely one thing that I'll say for a retail release set. The paint detail is really good on these. It's definitely something that I didn't expect all that much. Now, starting off first with the leader of them, we got Pyra Magna here. Get these guys off in the background. You can see that it is a repaint of a hotspot here, but one thing that I will say is, especially with this, I don't really remember it being the case so much on, you know, hotspot or anything, but the quality on the plastic on this doesn't really feel very good. It feels very cheap and thin, and that's definitely something I'm not a very big fan of. Also, you're noticing that, at least on mine, get this kind of out of the way, for some reason, this just droops down. Now, I know that it has something to do with this piece right here. This looks like it's a little marred, but I can't, and the ratchet joint for the hips did not improve, but I can't get it to actually be straight. So unfortunately what it ends up doing is it puts these wheels on the ground and this wheel on the ground, and then this just doesn't even do anything. It's really weird how that is. So I don't know if it's something with the assembly here. It just doesn't come out very good. As I was talking about, the ratchet joints are still terrible on this. I don't like how you either have to have the legs really spread out or really, you know, tight into each other. Out of all the figures in the set, this is honestly, in my opinion, the weakest looking, at least here in vehicle mode. The robot mode doesn't look all that bad, honestly. It does still have a lot of those same problems and stuff, but I just really don't like how, for some reason, this just droops. I mean, you can make it worse looking, but that's about the best that you're going to get it. Now, she does come with a whole new weapon, which you could see on the packaging and everything. It's a really cool looking sword. We'll get into that here a little bit, but you got these two little pieces right here. They kind of clip together just like that, and it kind of creates like a, I don't even know what you would call that, like an axe or the hook kind of weapon or something. So yeah, while you know, this is a bit of a disappointment in terms of the overall quality on the plastic, the, I guess, quality control here for what will become her hips. While all that stuff is disappointing, it still actually comes together pretty decently with the paint applications and things like that. You can see there's more of the red color kind of throughout here. You got some subtle hints of the green kind of going through. You get more here in the robot mode and everything, but we'll take a look at all that here just in a little bit. And also, all these Rust Renegades have like these little Cybertronian marks. I don't even know if that's Cybertronian because it doesn't look like anything really else, but I'm guessing it's Cybertronian. They all have these marks on them, and there's no way to translate it, but you have that on there. So setting her off to the side. Up next we have a Dust Up here, which is a remold and a repaint of, now one of the kinds, I can't remember the names of them all. But this is where you're seeing some more of this green come through here. Again, you got the kind of Cybertronian looking markings there on the side. Really nice Autobot logos painted on here as well. You can see that her weapon is this little handheld blade kind of thing. I mean, you can kind of put it in there, but it doesn't really stay in there all that well. I mean, it just kind of sits there, but I guess maybe you can put it along the side. And again, I mean, it doesn't really sit there. I don't think all of these are really designed to kind of actually peg in, so you can just do whatever you want with it. But some nice silver here for the headlights. I like the silver that they got for all the windshield. Like I said, the paint on these really is very nice. It definitely has a more than retail sort of feel, but Dust Up here looks pretty good. Pretty happy with how she turned out. I like the silver that they have on the actual grill section. That's pretty nice. But in general, again, a nice paint scheme. Up next, we have Jump Stream, which is a repaint of a breakdown robot. You could see the little accessory. I mean, like I said, I don't know what is supposed to peg in where. I mean, these are the weapons that the package showing these characters holding, so I just kind of threw them on there. But again, you see a little bit more green on Jump Stream here than you did on Dust Up. And I actually wonder if, no, yeah, see, like all this Cybertronian, this is different. So each one of them have unique markings. You got the nice Autobot logos on both sides. You got the silver here for the headlights. Nice silver paint right on the actual grill section. Again, really nice quality paint job on these guys. Very, very happy and impressed with how that turned out. And then here we come to the twins in this set. Obviously, these are the weapons that they come with. Really cool looking swords with a really nice white and blue paint on there. You got a cool silver look on there as well. It does appear that the primary color is actually molded in this translucent blue, and then everything else is painted on there, which gives it a pretty cool look. And it kind of matches along with what we have here. I would imagine that this is all just painted silver as well. But we'll assemble all that so you can see it in a bit. But here you have Skyburst and, of course, Storm Clash. Now, you also do get these little pieces here, which will become the feet. And that's something that they actually changed with this set for the very first time. They gave us actual feet and hands instead of hands that can be both hands and feet. Now, the only real way to tell these ones apart is you look at the kind of Autobot logo. I mean, the heads are obviously different, but this is Storm Clash because the Autobot logo is on her left side, and Skyburst has the Autobot logo on her right. So that's the only real way that you can tell them apart. I mean, they are kind of opposite in terms of the overall paint scheme. I mean, you can see like the green here. I mean, it is literally just like a mirror opposite of each other, which does look really cool. I like how they actually did that. And then being twins, obviously, it kind of matches. But again, the color on these really is very, very nice. Again, you got the Cybertronian. Are those the same? I mean, they're twins, so I wonder if those would be the same. No, those are different as well. So that's cool to see that that's consistent, where the Cybertronian writing and everything is different. But I actually really do dig these. Now, some people will probably complain because, oh, I wish we didn't get two of the same exact mold. I actually kind of dig the whole concept of them being twins. And with the paint scheme being the way that it is, like I said, where it's a mirror opposite of each other, I think it actually turned out pretty nicely. So there's Stormclash and the Skyburst. And then finally we have what is just a straight up repaint of Groove, the Legend Class Rust Dust, which makes up the 6th member of the team and actually becomes the chest as well. But you can see, again, real nice paint detail on here. I actually really like how they have like a little cracked windshield sort of look on there. And then again, that Cybertronian writing is actually still on here as well. And while I didn't use Groove in my original Protectobot set, this is actually nice because it does create a little bit of a difference, you know, to the overall mold and everything and the look for Victorian. Really very happy with it. I'm glad to see that they actually included this particular figure in the set. Like I said, you do have the new feet. I got the hands over there. I'll have to show those here in a second. But as you can see, it is a little bit more of a, I guess, high heel sort of look. And they also do incorporate now with this actual ankle tilt, which is really very nice. You can actually flex it and make it more of the high heel looking thing, and then you can bend it down like I had before, and you can kind of use that as a little display for either Stormclash or Skyburst, just to kind of give them a dynamic flying kind of look. That's actually really cool that they did this, and they were asked at BotCon if they would ever consider releasing just, you know, packs of hands and stuff that you could use for the other combiners, and it sounded like they were at least open to the idea. That would be really cool. But these actually looked really very nice in the red color that the package had them. Well, you really couldn't see the feet, I guess, but the hands did look really good in that red color. As you can see, it's just molded in the same color as the feet here, but these are the hands for them, and these actually look really nice as well. And this is something that fans have really been looking forward to. Now, I understand the reason why they did what they did before. I mean, it allows you to have, you know, a hand or a foot or something, but I think you could have done the exact same thing here, you know, with those other figures. I mean, you were already going to give us, or you needed to give us a hand and a foot, so it made more sense just to kind of give them both. I mean, this way you get 4 different pieces as opposed to the other one where you get 2, I guess, but I think just in general, these just look much nicer. You can see that articulation-wise, they do have a joint here at the bottom 3 fingers, and then the index finger here is individually articulated as well. You got a nice curve on the fingers and everything, so overall, really very happy with it. You can see that a whole section here. I kind of wish that they did it in a way where it's actually being held by the fingers as opposed to some random hole that's kind of there. I mean, because that looks a little bit weird, but it you know, it works out. I mean, when you're having her hold the sword, I mean, it actually works out pretty decently. But I really do like these hands. I think they came out really very nice. But that is everything for this particular set, and like I've said many times, I really think that the look is pretty good overall here. I mean, I didn't think that the colors needed that much tweaking, but I did think that the green really needed to be fixed. But in general, the decos on these really are very nice. Now, because we have seen the transformation on every single one of these, I am going to skip it. But as always, if you need any help with any kind of instructions or anything like that, my playlists are available that you can go and find the particular figure that you're looking for and get any help that you may need. But that's it for their vehicle modes, so when we come back, we'll have a look at these guys in their full robot forms. And honestly, these really did turn out really good. There's actually some changes that are on the figures here in robot mode that you see that I didn't actually see initially. And it actually kind of surprised me a bit. Now, starting off first with Pyra Magna, as you can see, like I said, she is just a repaint primarily of Hotspot. But what you're noticing, though, is the chest section right here has been redone, as well as a new head popped on there. But also, the lower section of the arms is different, which I didn't anticipate. That's something that is actually consistently different on all the figures. And that's really pretty cool. The colors on here really do look very nice. Again, I don't like the way that the hips are on this. I mean, you're either spreading them all the way out like this, or you're bringing them in. And the ratchet joints themselves just feel kind of flimsy, honestly. I'm really not all that impressed with it. It just, I don't know. As you're doing it, it kind of feels like it's just a... I don't know, cheaper material or something. I don't understand it, but one thing I also have a hard time getting the legs to lock in on this one, so I kind of have to leave them not fully pushed in down here. But just in general, though, I mean, the look is really good on this figure. I really like the head sculpt on there. The color looks really very nice. Just, again, much like the actual vehicle mode, just the quality of the plastic really does feel that like it's subpar, and that's very unfortunate. I mean, it has a very, just, I don't know, kind of cheap feel to it. But the look is still really very nice on it. That head sculpt is absolutely terrific. And then obviously, she becomes the torso of the whole Victorian figure, so we'll take a look at that here in a bit. Up next, we have Dust Up, which, again, you have the remolded chest piece right here. You got the new head, and then the lower section of the arms. Well, maybe not necessarily the lower section of the arms, but the hands are different. All the other figures that use the same mold, the hands are actually closed. So that's actually kind of cool that they at least did something different there. The one thing that's weird about both Dust Up and Jumpstream, is that the heads, and this is where I was saying that there's some weirdness to some of it. This absolutely looks like Nightbird, and then Jumpstream absolutely looks like Windblade. So it's weird that these are new characters, but they're going with head sculpts that were never previously used, but totally look like other characters that have come out. I don't understand that, actually. And I'm not 100% sure how I feel about that. I probably would have preferred more unique head sculpts, like what we got with Stormclash and Skyburst. But in general, the figure does look really cool. Like I said, you got the new head sculpt, which the head sculpt, I mean, don't get me wrong, I think the head sculpt's nice. It's just weird that it looks so much like another character. So to me, it almost says that they're planning on using this head sculpt to maybe give us a Nightbird figure here in the US. I don't know, but overall, really good look on that figure itself. Now, Jumpstream, like I said, you can see the head really does look like Windblade. I mean, even to the point where, like, you got the little bits underneath the eyes like Windblade head. It definitely has that same kind of look, but you can see you got the new chest piece, you got the lower section of the arms, which is new. The outer section here is the same, but because it is all one piece, they must have remolded it just to give it a new hand kind of sculpt, which does look good. Again, the regular version had it completely closed fist, whereas these are now open. But again, the color on here looks really good. You got some nice silver paint on there. Deco-wise, like I said, you don't get a retail figure feel. I'm trying to keep these all the way up. You don't get a retail figure feel for the overall paint scheme on this. This is a really nice kind of deco on here, almost like what you would expect from, say, like the Collector Club or something of that nature. Now for the twins, Stormclash here, like I said, is on the Autobot logo is on the left side of her shoulder, but she also has a completely different head than her sister, the Skyburst. You can see you got a much more goggle kind of look there for the eyes. And then this body is actually a little bit different as well. I mean, when you take a look at them, again, Stormclash, Skyburst, you can see that the whole molded differences with the body, like in terms of the mirror image, kind of works on here as well. You got this little nub right here on the right shoulder, whereas the Stormclash has that on her left shoulder. So, again, that whole mirror opposite sort of thing works still, even in terms of the molding. You can see that the face sculpt here is very different. You got the similar kind of look like on the side here, and in general the look is fairly similar, but the obvious differences are there, and I think that they really do look good. And it's one of those things where they're twins, so they shouldn't be different, I guess. But it is cool that they gave both of these girls new heads. And then obviously you can take this section and you can rotate this however you want. And I like doing it on an opposite kind of thing as well, just to kind of play into that whole mirror opposite thing. And then you got different sections down here for the forearms. So that's Skyburst and Stormclash. Or Clash, I'm sorry. And then we come to Rust Dust. And this is the only one that is kind of a letdown in the fact that it is just a straight repaint. There's not a remolded head or anything of that nature. All you have is a repainted figure. But this is still a pretty good toy just in general. Yeah, I mean, I don't think they needed to change too much. The only thing that I would say is that while the heads on all the other characters are a little bit more feminine, this definitely has a more masculine looking scowl going on in there. So I guess that would be the only real disappointment. I mean, and the head is a separate piece. I mean, you can rotate it, so they could have taken that off and put a new head on there, but for whatever reason, they chose not to. So for the robot modes, that's what you have, and I really do think that they came out looking good. A lot of times people have been joking, saying that they kind of look like watermelon figures, and yeah, they kind of do, with the green and the red, and you got the black, so I can definitely see that. But I think in general, they look pretty good. Now the combination, you can combine them any way you want. They do have Dust Up and Jump Stream as being the arms, and then obviously a Skyburst and Storm Clash are the arms, but you can interchange it however you want. But for the official configuration, that's what they have. Now for the sword, what you want to do, you have this section that's kind of already attached, just like that. And you take this and you put this down here. You're going to slide this in just like so. Take this section and then put this on that little bit right there. Let's see, did I get that? Is that all the way in? Or maybe I put that, oh no, I'm sorry. All right, take that out, rotate that around, because what you have here, you have little slots right here that these little bits right here are gonna tab into. So push that in all the way till that kind of locks in on this outer section right there. And then these little bits right here will come in and they tab along the side like this, and you probably want to do it where the blades are facing up. So again, you go like this, there. Let's see here. Come on. Are you gonna? There we go. Get that there. And this tabs together very, very securely. One other thing is you can see that there's a little notch that sticks up here that actually has a little groove section on the bottom part of the handle that kind of sits in there. So I mean, all this stuff really does tab in very securely. So I'm really quite happy with it. So once you get that all squeezed in and everything, there you have her sword, which really does look terrific. From this angle, it looks ugly. There's no question. But this really does look really nice. The silver with the gray and the blue just really come together very, very nicely. It creates just an absolute kind of regal, I guess, looking sword. I don't know how else to describe it. It really does look nice. But the assembly on it is actually pretty easy, as you can see. And like I said, everything on here tabs together very, very nicely. Nothing holding it here, nothing is coming out. Everything kind of locks in perfectly. So I love seeing that. But now to get the Rust Renegades into their Victorian mode, the transformations are all the exact same that we've gotten for the previous molds on all these figures. So without further ado, let's take a look at these girls as Victorian. And here she is, Victorian, the first female combiner as created by us, the fans. And again, you know, I don't know if it's because the color scheme all blends as opposed to having different mishmashes of colors coming together or what, but the look on this really is very, very nice. Obviously, you see that Rust Dust is the chest piece on here, which just kind of breaks things up and makes her look a little bit different, I guess just in general. But the sheer amount of paint that is put on this really does give a very collector club or BotCon figure kind of feel. This really does look great in terms of the paint. Now there are still some problems, most notably with the Pyra Magna figure. Because of the way that the ratchet joints are, it does kind of hurt Victorian here. And for some reason, like these little pieces right here, I don't know. I mean, they don't, this like seems like to sit up a little bit higher than this one does. This one seems to come all the way down. This one doesn't seem to want to go all the way down, which is kind of annoying. But coming in to take a look at that brand new head sculpt for her, that does look really very unique and cool. I really like it. It's a much bigger head than I expected. But I love the visor that's on there. The paint applications is really very well done on here. You got some nice silver down here in the mouth area. You got the green and the red that kind of comes through. Just in general, a really solid looking head sculpt. And that's the most noticeable thing, other than the color, that you instantly will see when you look at this figure. You know, and while I was saying, you know, that the colors do nicely kind of complement each other, the other thing that really nicely works are the proportions. So complain all you want about the fact that we got two helicopters here for the leg. It looks proportionate. When you look at the arms, because they're a similar style, it looks proportionate. And I think just in general, this entire overall look is really very cool. I do wish, like I said, that those waist joints were a little, or the hip joints, I should say, of Pyro Magna were a little bit different, because it would make the figure just in general a much cooler, more dynamically posed sort of figure. As it is, the ratchets here are just not really good. It's like you have to really push in to get the legs standing straight, or you go out like this and now the legs are really spread apart. But the actual ankles do have tilts in them now, so you can bend them to keep the feet on the ground, but I just think that that's too wide of a spread. I'm not a very big fan of that. So I mean, I wish it was a little bit more in between the two, I guess. But articulation wise, it is all the exact same. The head is on a bit of a ball joint, so you get a little up and down, left and right. The shoulders here do rotate. That's one thing that does kind of stink on this one. This tabs in very nicely. This does not tab in hardly at all, so it's constantly loose. But to rotate this around, it is a little bit easier to hold everything in place. And then you get a full 360. You got the in and out motion right there. The waist right here does rotate, and then you got the legs for the actual individual figures that dub as the elbows. You can see that the hands look really nice as a much smaller component. It just works a little bit better, although again it is a little bit weird because of how big the forearms are. These kind of look a little bit off. The hips though move. Oh, I popped this whole thing out, put that back in there. Yeah, stay in there like that. The hips move forward and back. They can move in and out. Again, those ratchet joints just are terrible. The knees bend, and then you can also rotate those around. The ankles can rotate, I suppose, and then you have the tilt, which allows you, for posability purposes, to get a little bit more dynamic of poses. But like I said, when it comes down to it, you're going to kind of have to rely on an in-between sort of ratchet joint for her poses, just so that it kind of looks cool. And then her sword, like I said, you can just put that in the little hole right there, and that really does look terrific. That sword adds so much. I love the way that it looks. She does get a little bit top heavy. Again, that's mostly because of the way that these ratchet joints are. And then you can also see that right there, these kind of get in the way of hitting each other unless you have them properly spread out. So something like that, position it, and there you have Victorion, absolutely looking spectacular. I am so really happy with how this turned out. Honestly, I didn't think that I was going to like it that much, and I was really on the fence about even bothering to pick this figure up. But it turned out much better than I ever thought it would. When I first saw pictures at San Diego Comic-Con, like I said, the green was very bright and it didn't look as good. I'm so glad that they actually toned it down. I kind of wish that they toned down the red a little bit as well, made it a little bit more of a rust color, but it doesn't look all that bad. I think it works nicely. In general, I'm really happy with this figure. I'm shocked at how good this really turned out. It's a fun character. It's a brand new one. We were responsible for making it, so it seems even cooler, I guess. But what Hasbro was able to do with it really did kind of hit a home run, if you ask me. I mean, the biggest problems I would probably say would be the Pyro Magna figure and just the overall quality of the overall figure. And then when you combine her with the rest of the limbs to form Victorion, it still does kind of stand out because some of those joints just are not very good. But in general, I'm very happy with her. Now, I believe that she's got a street date of May 15th, but some retailers have been slowly putting her out a little bit early. So if you're looking for her, good luck and happy hunting. Or you can keep your eyes on Big Bad Toy Store, who will probably be putting up their pre-orders fairly soon. So all you need to do is click on the link down in the video description. You'll go to BBTS, where you can keep your eyes on availability of this, as well as the rest of the Transformer Combiner Wars figures. But beyond that, guys, that's about it. So once again, I want to thank you for tuning in. This has been Optibotimus. Don't forget to please like and comment, and don't forget to subscribe in case you haven't already subscribbled. That way you never miss a future review of mine. And until next time, I'll talk to you later.